So happy to have you with us this afternoon on a beautiful day here, a lovely fall day here in Southwest Louisiana. Always grateful to have you spending a little time with us right here on the Katie McGrady Show on the Catholic Channel, Sirius XM, Channel 129, live, of course, on the Catholic Channel here on Sirius XM, and recorded a nice little video of our opening monologue. Will be up on my Substack later today and shared across YouTube and social media. You can find all of that on my website, katieprejeanmcgrady.com or katieprejeanmcgrady.substack.com. Lots of fun places where you can find all the stuff we've got going on here on the Katie McGrady Show, including our recommendations and things we're paying attention to. The Chosen Adventures has hit Amazon Prime. I may or may not have watched the first episode on my lunch break today. It's only 11 minutes. I laughed out loud. It's fantastic. We had a great interview with Dallas Jenkins earlier this week. He and I talking about The Chosen Adventures. So you're not going to want to miss any of that awesome stuff available on Amazon Prime. All the episodes, we're totally binging it as a family this weekend. Earlier this week, as I was talking about yesterday and throughout the time that I've kind of been on the road, we were at a Notre Dame game, and then I was in Steubenville to record some stuff with the wonderful St. Paul Center, stpaulcenter.com/America, and you can find all the stuff you need to about Bible across America, the largest Bible study we've ever done, I think, as a church, and we're inviting you to be a part of it. But on Wednesday, after my failed attempt to get home early, I was invited to go to dinner with the Sisters of Life. Now, for those who are regular listeners of the Katie McGrady Show or follow me across social media, you know this. My sister, Laura, is actually not Laura anymore. She's Sister Liliana Petra. We actually got the lovely photo of the Sisters of Life. The new novices was in the back of their monthly magazine imprint. I may or may not have cut it out or ripped it out of the magazine so I can put it up on my wall and remember all the lovely novices and their new names. The Sisters of Life are spread out around the United States of America. They're all throughout New York, Toronto, D.C., Philadelphia, Denver, and Phoenix. And there's a brand new, very small convent of sisters in Steubenville. And the Sisters of Life that are in Steubenville are studying, working on masters or doctorates. There's just 5 of the sisters that can live there. 4 are currently there at what's being called the St. Francis Convent. And because I am the sister of a sister, and I think I've said this a handful of times before, and I'm happy to say it on the regular, there's not that many nuns in the Roman Catholic Church. I mean, there are more than maybe there have been in recent years, fewer today than there were decades and centuries ago. But if you're related to a religious sister, you're kind of in an elite little club. I don't mean elite to be like, hey, we're better Catholics because our siblings married Jesus, but Jesus is my brother-in-law, so I kind of have a one-up on people in that regard. I guess it just means that I fight with him more than I would otherwise. But my sister is a religious sister. It puts me in this interesting little category as the sibling of a religious. It means that occasionally you meet other people who also have sisters or brothers who are in monastic life or in religious life, and there's like this immediate connection. I'm very good friends with Father Patrick Mary Briscoe. He's a Dominican. Father Patrick's sister Kathleen, I adore because we just get it. You just get it. When you have somebody in your life that you love, who is sometimes not super accessible because of the ministry that they do, or doesn't walk around with a cell phone in their pocket like nearly everybody else in society these days. There's just something about feeling that necessary connection with a sibling of a religious. And so, because I fall into this odd category, and because I happen to also travel quite frequently, this time last year, I was in New York for the incredible Napa Institute Eucharistic Procession, which happened earlier this week. And, I, on more than one occasion, have reached out to Sisters of Life to say hi. I spent quite a bit of time with the Sisters of Life in Washington, D.C. during the conclave and funeral. Went over there for Mass pretty regularly, and they fed me breakfast. I visited the Philly convent, got to spend some time with my own sister when she was there. I've hung out with the sisters in Denver. I've gone to dinner at 2 separate Sisters of Life convents in New York, and of course have visited the Mother House. So Toronto and Phoenix, you're next. But I was finally able to check off the bingo card, the St. Francis Convent in Steubenville, which recently opened. In fact, the sisters shared with me that I'm the first family member of the community to come visit. I mean, literally, they've been there for like 6 weeks. And so I texted back and forth with Sister Agnus Dei. Yes, some sisters have phones. They don't like scroll Twitter from them, don't worry. And it's not like they text back all the time. But I let Sister Agnus Dei know I was going to be in town. And I'd just love to say hi. My plan was to meet them on campus and buy them a cup of coffee. That was the plan. And when you make plans, God laughs. We've all heard that phrase before. That's why they pay me the big bucks here on SiriusXM, because I say things like that. When you make plans, God laughs. Not a maniacal laugh. He chuckles, I think. And so I text Sister Agnus Dei, I'd love to say hi, buy you guys a cup of coffee. And she replied, let me check. Of course, she's talking about the superior of the house, Sister Laetitia. And Sister Laetitia said, oh, just have her come to dinner. But see, here's the thing. When you go share a meal with sisters, you are coming into the convent, you are coming into their home, you are coming into their rhythms, you are coming into their routines. And Sisters of Life don't just like have dinner. They first do this thing called Vespers. Now, you've certainly heard of this before. Vespers, evening prayer, in the divine office, the Liturgy of the Hours, which is the official prayer of the church. Newsflash, daily mass is wonderful, and you should certainly pray a rosary as frequently as you can. But the thing prescribed, the prayer that is assigned to all religious, nuns, monks, brothers, sisters, priests, deacons, and prayed by countless lay people as well, is the divine office, the Liturgy of the Hours. Now, in a little while, I'll go into some of the history of the Liturgy of the Hours and geek out for you, but I have to tell you, I was convicted on Wednesday in a way that I haven't experienced in a really long time. And I'm sharing this because I think maybe a lot of people might be in the same boat as me. And I think it's worth occasionally offering a testimony of you're one way and you're feeling somewhat perhaps arid or dry in your spiritual life. And then this great flood just comes down upon you, the great pouring rain of God's grace, and you're replenished in a way that you weren't necessarily expecting. So I get to the Sisters of Life convent. Dinner is going to be after we pray Vespers at 6 p.m., evening prayer. Get to the convent, say hi to everybody. They give me a little tour. And we go downstairs to their basement chapel, which is precious. That can literally hold like 5 people on a good day. And we begin evening prayer. Now, for those who don't know, the Liturgy of the Hours is usually contained in a 4-volume set. You've got your books that you make your way through over the course of the liturgical year. Volume 1, Advent and Christmas. Volumes 2 and 3, Ordinary Time. Volume 2, Ordinary Time. Volume 2. See, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Volume 2, Lent and Easter. Volume 3, Ordinary Time. Volume 4, Ordinary Time. It's quite evident to you that the only type of Liturgy of the Hours that I've ever regularly prayed is the Christian prayer. There's like a 1-volume version of it, or the even shorter Christian prayer, which of course I would do in college at various events on UD's campus. I have very little experience with the Liturgy of the Hours. And not because I don't appreciate that this is the church's prayer, not because I don't know what it is objectively, but because, and I'm more than happy to admit this publicly on national radio, we get 170 million listeners of SiriusXM monthly, which means if even 1% are tuning in to the Catholic channel right now, we got a lot of ears, folks. So I'm more than happy to admit this to lots of people right now. I am intimidated by the Liturgy of the Hours, like legitimately intimidated by it. I mean, look at this. It's 4 volumes worth of praying. And normally there's all these ribbons that like hang out from the side. And if you look at somebody who's prayed the Liturgy of the Hours, a nun or a priest, your parish priest is supposed to be praying his Liturgy of the Hours all throughout the day. It's literally like part of his obedience in service to the church. You can't skip it. You have to do it. It's part of the routine of being a priest to not skimp on prayer. The sisters are praying all the hours of the day, kind of spread throughout. You've got morning and midday and evening and night. And I've always been wildly intimidated by the Liturgy of the Hours. Always thought, well, I'm going to get it wrong. I'm going to put the ribbons in the wrong place, or I'm going to use the wrong chant, or I'll misspeak when it comes to the antiphon. You know, you go through this rotation of 4 weeks, and by the end of the 4 weeks, if you've prayed every day, and you've prayed every hour of every day in these prescribed hours throughout the day, you pray the entire book of Psalms, and you're chanting the canticles, and you're reading in the office of readings, and you're reflecting upon gospels, and it's a lot. And it's always been incredibly intimidating, again, because it's 4 volumes, and because this, I don't know, the shorter version and the 1-volume version just kind of seemed like a cop-out. I've always been intimidated by it. And yet, even in that I'm intimidated by it, I have never, and I can say this hand to God, I have never prayed the Liturgy of the Hours and not walked away from it grateful. In other words, every single time I've prayed the Liturgy of the Hours, and it's often in a group setting with sisters, or at some sort of a conference or an event, or in a group of friends. I had some friends in college. We would gather together and pray night prayer. Every single time I have prayed the Liturgy of the Hours, I have walked away grateful. And yet, even though I've loved it when I've done it, I've never felt this huge tug on my heart to make it a priority for myself until Wednesday. And the backstory to this is things have been a little crazy in the McGrady household recently. Crazy in the sense that we're busier than we've ever been. We had a book launch in August. We've got another book launching in December. I've been traveling more than I wanted to be. We've got all the stuff still going on, obviously, with the radio and with podcasting. I'm in the process of writing another book. So we've got a book out in August, a book out in December. I'm writing another book that's supposed to be half turned in by the beginning of next year. I mean, I've got a lot on my plate. On top of like normal life, like wanting to hang out as a family and have dinner together and build Lego sets and travel and just enjoy our company. Obviously, when you're that busy, yes, some things definitely need to be taken off the to-do list, and we know that, but some things kind of fall to the wayside. One thing that's fallen to the wayside are coffee tables. We've got 2 coffee tables in the house. They're cluttered nightmares right now. They're just like piles of things on top of these coffee tables. Tomorrow, all the surfaces in the house will be cleaned. Our bedroom, my husband and I's bedroom, is a complete and total mess right now. There are piles of laundry, and there are half-packed and unpacked suitcases, and a bag of clothes that need to go to Goodwill. That's also on the agenda for this weekend, is to do an overhaul of the sanctuary that is supposed to be a place of rest. You can look sometimes at the physical components of one's life and see how things have gotten quite busy and therefore have fallen by the wayside and are muddled, but sometimes the exterior, like maybe a messy house, is actually a snapshot of the interior. And so I'm more than willing to admit that in the midst of this very busy schedule that we have been keeping because of life and professional commitments and all these other things, my prayer life has been kind of in the toilet. Like, sure, I'm going to Mass on Sunday. And like, yes, we do a decade of the Rosary as a family as frequently as we can. And like, yeah, I'm listening to the morning gospel on the Hallow app. But spending intentional time in contemplation and prayer, popping by the Adoration Chapel, my husband and I gave up our weekly adoration hour because we couldn't keep up with it because of the way my travel schedule especially. And so if I'm gone on a Tuesday, Tommy has to find a sitter at 1 o'clock in the morning to go make his holy hour. So we had to give up our holy hour. In the chaos of everything, yeah, the surfaces of our coffee tables are cluttered. The laundry is just a mountain. And my prayer life has been kind of non-existent. And while you can kind of get away with not having much of a prayer life for a while, I mean, you can kind of muddle along and be like, oh yeah, I'm talking to the Lord. Oh yeah, I'm reading sacred scripture. Oh yeah, I'm meditating before and after communion. It's kind of like walking through life with one arm tied behind your back. Like, sure, I can do a lot of things one-handed. But after a while, I want that arm back. I want to be able to do everything to the full. And when your prayer life is in the toilet, when you haven't spent time actually contemplating the presence and goodness of God in your life, you're not operating at full capacity. Now, I'm saying that as me, the overworked, overextended, email inbox is a chaotic dumpster fire individual who absolutely probably needs to take like 10 beats when it comes to what I'm putting on my to-do list. But I guarantee that it's not just overextended radio hosts who feel that way. That I think a lot of us In the noise and the chaos of our world today, a lot of us have prayer lives in the gutter. A lot of us have gone through the motions when it comes to actually communicating with God. And yet, I think it's important to both acknowledge, yeah, I haven't been praying as much as I should. I haven't been praying the way that I'm really called to. I haven't been taking time to contemplate God's presence in my life. It's one thing to acknowledge that that's the reality. It's another thing to say, fix it, God. On Tuesday evening, when I was there in Steubenville working on this Bible Across America stuff, there was a night of praise and worship on Franciscan's campus. My friend Heather was leading the praise and worship. She invited me to come. And so at 9:00 at night, I went to a college campus and sat in the back of a chapel. And over 250 college students in the middle of midterms week just prayed for the next 60 minutes. And I sat in the back of that chapel and sang those worship songs and watched these young people pouring their heart out to the Lord. And I said a prayer as I was sitting in the back of that chapel. I said a prayer, Lord, bring me back to you. Just bring me back to you. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm going all these places. I'm working as hard as I possibly can. I feel like I'm doing a lot for you, but bring me back to you. Because I'm not praying. I'm not talking to you. I'm not spending time with you the way I should. And I'm avoiding prayer because I convince myself all this other stuff needs to be taken care of first. And yes, it certainly does, but none of that stuff ultimately is as fruitful as it could be if I'm not actually talking to God. Just bring me back to you. That was my prayer for 60 minutes. Bring me back to you. Wake up Wednesday morning, do all the stuff we need to do, try to get on an earlier flight, don't get on an earlier flight, make my way back to Steubenville to go have dinner with the Sisters of Life. And I walk in, and they show me their new convent, and we go downstairs to their basement chapel to pray evening prayer in Volume 4 of the Liturgy of the Hours. I was sitting next to Sister Beata, and I did not have my copy of the Liturgy of the Hours. How ironic. I don't pray the Liturgy of the Hours, and yet I have the full 4-volume set, and I've had the full 4-volume set for years, and just haven't touched it. I didn't have a copy of the book, and so I'm sitting next to Sister Beata, and so she steps over. She's very tall. She steps over, and she holds the book out so I can pray along with her. And we're praying evening prayer on Wednesday, and something happened in my heart as we were praying together. It was the feast of St. Teresa of Avila, and we're praying the evening prayer, the common evening prayer for a virgin. And I can't even tell you what we were saying in the Psalms. Like I could probably flip back into the book and like double check like what we were saying for evening prayer for the common of virgins on Wednesday in the Liturgy of the Hours. But something happened in my heart as I'm sitting in this basement chapel at the St. Francis Convent in Steubenville with 4 Sisters of Life. We're hearing them chant the psalm, hearing them pray the antiphons, watching them as they were sitting in quiet contemplation, knowing that every single sister in that basement chapel has been praying the Liturgy of the Hours in rotation day after day after day for literally over a decade, some more. I mean, Sister Letizia has been a nun for 20 years. She's been praying the Liturgy of the Hours over and over and over again. I mean, every 4 weeks or repeating the cycle, they've been praying these words with the same devotion and the same tenderness and the same love and the same excitement and the same beauty. And they are getting something new from it every single time. And that prayer that I said on Tuesday at Praise and Worship, bring me back to you, all of a sudden, like a lightning bolt, as I'm sitting there in the chapel, looking on with Sister Beata, do this. I kind of fought the Lord for a second. Do you know how much praying is required when you do the Liturgy of the Hours? Have you seen the 4-volume set, Lord? And they're coming out with new ones. Ascension Press and Word on Fire are publishing the new translation of Liturgy of the Hours. So like right when I get comfortable doing it, there's going to be new volumes. I mean, come on, Lord. Do this. It was as if the Lord was standing right in front of me and he wasn't wagging his finger. He wasn't fussing. He was inviting, do this. I think it's so easy for us to complicate prayer When at the end of the day, prayer, according to St. Therese of Lisieux and in the Catechism, is a surge of the heart and a lifting of the mind. The heart cannot surge unless the mind is lifted. And I think the reason I've been avoiding prayer, the reason I haven't really been praying, the reason I could say my prayer life is in the toilet, I think it's because a part of me thinks I have to have something to say. Because that's literally my professional life. I have something I have to say on air for 2 hours every day. I have to say something in a podcast. I have to say something in an interview. I have to say something from stage. I have to say something on the Substack. I have to say a lot of things. So clearly I have to have something to say to God, and I'm just all set out by the time I have any time to pray. And yet the beauty of the Liturgy of the Hours is that it already has something for you to say. And you just say it, not in this rote, repetitive way, but that you say it, and as you say it, as it's printed on the page, as you reflect upon it, as you sit in quiet contemplation of a psalm that if you've done this for years, you've prayed many, many times, that in the saying of this familiar phrase and antiphon and psalm and canticle and reading, you're saying it. But your mind is allowed to contemplate, allowed to reflect, allowed to sit quietly and listen for God's voice. Do this. It was like a lightning bolt of conviction. Just do this. So I flew home early Thursday morning, got back here to the house, knew exactly where this giant 4-volume set of the Liturgy of the Hours was on my shelf, pulled out Volume 4, went to this handy-dandy website called divineoffice.org, which literally tells you which pages to flip to every day. So there goes my excuse, I'm going to do it wrong. There's literally a website that tells you how to do it. And this morning, for the first time in a probably very long time, maybe since college, I sat down to pray morning prayer. Now, the mornings here in the McGrady household can be equally joyful and chaotic. My kiddos are getting ready to go to school. My husband's getting ready to go to work. I'm getting ready to bring the kiddos to school. Everybody's running around looking for socks and shoes. And yet, on this morning that I've decided I'm going to start praying the Liturgy of the Hours, everybody was ready by 6:45 a.m. And in what can only be described as a hilarious, idyllic moment, I come into the little sitting room after going and making sure the lights are turned off in the back of the house, and Rose, I kid you not, is sitting in one of our armchairs reading her children's Bible, and Claire is playing with the cat, dangling a rosary in front of him. We had to talk about not using rosaries as cat toys, but it was like my kiddos were like pre-prepped to pray. One with the Bible, one with a rosary, Mom with her copy of the Liturgy of the Hours. I sat down, I found what pages I needed to go to. I'm flipping around. Rose looks up. She said, Mom, what are you doing? Oh, I'm praying the Liturgy of the Hours, and without missing a beat. My very observant 8-year-old, oh, that's the thing Wawa does every day. Who's Wawa? Well, Wawa is her godmother, novice aunt in the Sisters of Life, who, yes, is praying the Liturgy of the Hours every single day. And I said, yeah, buddy, Wawa's probably done morning prayer. I checked my watch to double that I was, confirm that I was saying this correctly. I was like, yeah, she's probably already prayed her morning prayer today, and she'll have midday prayer and then evening prayer. And can I pray it with you? Yeah, buddy. She came over, she sat next to me. Claire eventually abandoned the rosary. Fortunately, the cat did not destroy it. They came over, and together we prayed the first psalm, Psalm 51. Have mercy on me, God, in your kindness, and your compassion blot out my offense. Oh, wash me more and more from my guilt and cleanse me from my sin. It continues on. Indeed, you love truth in the heart. Then in the secret of my heart, teach me wisdom. Oh, purify me, then I shall be clean. Oh, wash me, I shall be whiter than snow. A pure heart create for me, O God. Put a steadfast spirit within me. Do not cast me away from your presence, nor deprive me of your Holy Spirit. It took 10 minutes, not even, with my kiddos repeating the antiphons. And I was brought back to that chapel on Tuesday. Just bring me back to you. And then sitting in the chapel on Wednesday, do this. Compelled, I think, to start making the Liturgy of the Hours more of a priority, because in all of the saying and the speaking and the doing and the feeling like, do I have any words left to actually use in conversation with the Lord? The genius of the Liturgy of the Hours is that the words are there for you. You don't have to be creative yourself. You can just pray the prayer of the church. And in praying the prayer of the church and using the words the church prescribes, you're actually then able to speak from the heart in an even more profound way. So let this be perhaps the encouragement maybe that you need. If you've been far from prayer, if your prayer life is in the proverbial toilet or gutter, maybe for you it's not the Liturgy of the Hours, or maybe it could be. To make a return to the Lord, to be back in His presence in a more intentional way, because you take the time to maybe learn how to use the 4-volume set, or just go use an app on your phone. There's tons of them. Maybe just morning prayer, maybe just night prayer as a family. But to go back to the Lord, to return to the Lord, to pray with the Lord, and to do it with the prayer of the church. Now, I'm fascinated by all things history. The Liturgy of the Hours didn't just fall from the sky like manna from heaven for the Israelites. It's this beautiful development of prayer over the history of the church, and geeky Katie McGrady is going to talk about that on the show that bears my name. So stick around for more, and I'm going to tell you the backstory of the Liturgy of the Hours. And then maybe if you are a person who prays the Liturgy of the Hours regularly, you want to tell me about that. You can give us a call at 888-322-8465. We're still talking about the Liturgy of the Hours right here on the Katie McGrady Show on the Catholic Channel, Sirius XM, Channel 129.